Blasphemous 2 has some really incredible bosses, but it's also got some really big stinkers. So, which one's going to come out on top, and which one's going to come in dead last? My name's Avery. Come with me as we rank all of the bosses, including the ones from the DLCs, in Blasphemous 2. At number 16, in dead last, we have Susona Fermosa Fembra. If there's a type of boss that I absolutely despise, it's a flying boss when you yourself cannot fly. Susona is a huge test of patience, which I do not have when I am fighting her. Much of the time in this fight, you are running around and surviving rather than doing any sort of damage to her, which inherently makes for a longer fight and more time for you to get hit and ultimately fail. Susona flies around as her kind of skull mantle thing and shoots out lightning balls in a pretty weird pattern. But it's a consistent pattern, the shape is just a little odd. This odd shape makes sliding under them or air dashing through them a little difficult as you don't really have a good straight path. I got hit by at least one of these lightning balls every time she did this move. She will also fly up to one of the top corners of the screen and she'll kind of do a reverse Debla on you. In doing this, she will skate across the entire screen. You avoid this by being under the platforms that spawn when she does this move. However, so many times it seems like the platforms don't appear until she's already moving. She moves incredibly fast across the screen. So it seems like unless you're somewhat close to the platforms, you're not making it to the cover, which just made this move a little inconsistent to get away from. She will also reform her human shape, and this is your big time to get damage in. You've got a couple free seconds to do some damage, but then she will send some moves at you. She'll either send vertical lightning beams at you, or she'll do the lightning balls again at kind of horizontal patterns. You can air dash through the vertical lightning, and you can kind of air dash and stay airborne through the horizontal lightning balls as well. I have a really hard time finding a redeeming quality about this boss fight, and that's why it lands in last place at number 16. At number 15, we have Odon of the Confraternity of Salt. Odon is a frustrating boss all the way around. You go into his arena thinking you're going to get a nice 1v1 against a big night boss, and instead you're met with him summoning ads, and on top of that he even buffs the ads, making them invulnerable unless you do enough damage to him. He's got really odd timings with his melee swings, and I never really got them down 100%, but he is parryable. You do need to mind his landing as he jumps off screen because he is intending to land on you, and he spawns waves on the ground when he lands that will damage you. On top of this, be prepared to jump and air dash over the spears that he brings up from the ground and the waves that he sends in your direction. It's a real shame that the ads are a part of this fight because I genuinely believe it would be a good fight without them. At number 14, we have Faceless One, Chisel of Oblivion. I don't dislike this boss at all. It's just a tutorial boss and doesn't have much going for it. This boss pretty much has two moves. He's going to jump in the air and he's going to throw his spiked wheel at you, and then he's going to call it back like Thor's hammer, which you have to jump over. Otherwise, he's going to slide across the screen, which again, you have to jump over. He's a pretty simple tutorial boss. However, I died an embarrassing amount of times to this guy. If nothing else, he did a great job at showing me what I was getting into. At number 13, we have Darbon. Darbon is the first boss you fight in the new DLC, The Third Sin. Now, I give quotations to this boss for a very specific reason, and that's because this boss becomes a fairly common enemy throughout the rest of the DLC, and that is one of my least favorite tropes in video games. His attacks are pretty well telegraphed, and he's not too difficult to dodge. Honestly, the only reason he's ranking this high is because of his visual design. See, throughout my life, I've always liked the Minotaur look on things, and so this boss just plays into that. The execution animation is also really sick when you get him down. But as far as the boss, there's just not much more to say about him. He's fine. At number 12, we have Sor Cativa del Silencio. Now, apparently this is a hot take, which I have found out recently, but I don't really like this boss. In the same line as Darbon, the visual design of this boss is pulling a lot of the weight. This boss took what felt like forever to finally defeat. So you have to damage the locket in the middle of the boss to get it to open after it breaks, and that's where you can do your real damage. Otherwise, you're just kind of doing chip damage the whole time. But to me, it felt like the amount of time you had to spend fighting the locket was a little too much. The boss will also spawn ads into the fight. You got some flyers and some crawlers, and the disconnected hands will summon magic that you need to dodge. Now, the magic that the hands do isn't too difficult to dodge. However, the bullet hell move from the one hand seemed to get me every single time, especially when there were several ads out already. The boss also does a spinning laser attack, and when you get to phase 2, it'll reverse and go the other way as well. That ability isn't too hard to dodge, but it does make getting damage on the locket pretty difficult. At number 11, we have the Incarnate Devotion. This is going to be your final boss of the game, and because of that, it kind of feels like a letdown. As far as difficulty, this boss, in my opinion, is not difficult whatsoever. And I know difficulty doesn't make a boss good, but when the penultimate boss is as difficult as they are, it seems kind of like a letdown when the next one is kind of a pushover. This boss only has like 3 to 4 mechanics. You dodge the purple vertical lasers when they come at you from either direction, you get up on the platforms when they spawn, dodge the yellow bombs when they come at you, and you attack the flowers that spawn to remove the shield from the heart, and then you just go to town on the heart when you can. That's pretty much the entire fight. It seems this fight might have been going from more of the theatrical standpoint, and maybe I just got kind of burnt out on on it because I had to beat him 3 times to get all 3 endings of the game. But overall, I don't love this fight. I don't hate it either though. At number 10, we have Blasphemous, Incorrupt Sacristan, and the Sleeping Infanta. This is the first and only duo boss, and the only 3-phase boss in the game. You start out by fighting Blasphemous, who's a big hulking knight and fights you with a coffin. And Blasphemous spawns giant flame pillars that you need to be aware of. He does have melee swings with his coffin, and the timing can be pretty rough to get the parries on. He can also transform into this weird emblem thing, in which case he's got fire spinning around him. After you get his health down to 0, the Sleeping Infanta bursts out of the coffin. Sleeping Infanta uses mostly projectiles on you. They're not too bad to dodge, and you can parry them. However, your positioning is pretty important when it comes to dodging them. It will also turn itself into a saw blade and send itself across the screen. Once you get his health to 0, both boss health bars refill to max health, and this starts phase 3, where you fight both of them at the same time. The mechanics are exactly the same, they don't do anything different, you're just dealing with both of them at the same time. You kinda gotta get a feel for this phase and see which one you want to fight first. I always had better luck getting rid of Sleeping Infanta first because the projectiles made dodging the flame pillars a little difficult. At number 9, we have Great Preceptor Radames. Radames is a giant skeleton who serves as a pretty early game boss. The visual design of this boss and the setting that you fight him in is just fantastic, and he's really not mechanically complicated either. He utilizes glass shards to throw at you, and he spawns them from the earth. He also has melee swings that are pretty easily timed and you can parry them. There's a wall grab section on both sides of the arena that you will need to utilize in this boss fight. Glass shards start protruding from the body of the boss, and he will just rush at you. The only way you're able to get up and over him is by using the wall grab section. Upon reaching phase 2, which is about half of his health, Radames will stand up. The mechanics don't change much, however you are going to need to get higher in order to get above him when he does his charge. And now there's falling rocks coming from the ceiling, just to add a little bit more fun to the fight. I really enjoyed the wall grab section in this fight and how it added a little bit of complexity to the fight itself without it just being another boss attack. At number 8, we have Synodo, Hymn of the Thousand Voices. This creepy giant dude is a really cool boss. The boss is divided into phases. The face of the boss changes, and with that, so do the mechanics. The old man will start every encounter, and he attacks you with magic, both fire and miasma. The nun lady is the other main phase. This one will turn into a giant flame pillar that you need to dash through. This phase will also attempt to heal the boss if you let it get its charge off. You can prevent this by doing enough damage to it when it hunkers down. The third phase, and what really begins the second phase, is the masked phase. And this one is pretty much just the bullet hell phase. Basically, just dodge everything that it's going to throw at you. After you get through this one, the first 2 just kind of repeat. When you get to the end of the fight, you get the fourth phase. This one is going to send fire all on the ground, and you're going to have the gold rings that you have to hang on to stay airborne. There's going to be vertical beams that you need to dodge through, all while doing damage to the face. If you can dodge the pillars here and stay above the ground, you're golden. I really enjoyed the different phases of this boss, and appreciated how you had a literal visual indicator on what mechanics were about to come your way. At number 7, we have Brother Asterion, the first encounter. This is the second boss that you're going to fight in the Mea Culpa DLC. See, Brother Asterion is trying to steal the Mea Culpa from you, and you are trying to get it back. The fight is not super difficult, nor is it very thematically impressive. I just really love a good 1v1 with a knight type boss. His attacks are pretty well telegraphed and pretty easy to parry or dodge. However, there is one melee swing that he does when you're behind him that is so fast that I'm not sure if I ever got the parry timing of it down. Overall, a pretty simple fight, but an enjoyable one. At number 6, we have Orospina, Lady Embroiderer. Like Asterion, this is another 1v1 fight with a knight type enemy. Now, if you start with the 2 small dual swords, this fight's really going to feel like a fencing match. Her full arena charge is pretty telegraphed and very easy to jump over, and it leaves her open for some extra damage at the end. Her melee swings are also pretty simple and pretty easy to parry. She also has an ability where she'll jump up on some string in the air and throw some projectiles at you. You can parry these, you can dodge these, they're not too bad. She has an ability where she kind of teleports around the arena, and you want to be out of the circle that shows up, and this move also progressively gets harder as the fight goes on. She covers more area the lower health she has, so you kind of want to end this fight quick. In phase 2, she'll summon 2 gold forms of herself that throw the projectiles that she does in phase 1. These again are not too bad to dodge, especially if you stand under one of them. I did the achievement to beat a boss without getting hit on Orospina. The one ability that she did that got me the most was her up slash ability. I just could not get the timing of that one down. Watching the footage back of that made me feel like I was really bad at video games. At number 5, we have Crescencia, Duchess of the Sleeping Visage. Crescencia is the final boss of the new DLC, the Third Sin. Now this fight was a lot of fun, but it was very tough for me. See, I spent the vast majority of the game using the swords that you can parry with. In the DLC, the new weapon you get is a chain, and with the chain, you cannot parry, you have to dodge. And the DLC very much encourages you to use this new weapon, including this boss. So I had to get very used to a dodge heavy playstyle in order to beat this boss. And she's got a lot of abilities too. She's a very long range sword in which she will make mega swipes at you, and she will also also charge across the screen. She can also summon a spinning sword that just kind of floats around the screen that you gotta avoid. She can summon falling swords and you need to position yourself in between them, and she can also do these from the side. And she will use these giant blue circles that you need to get out of before they explode. Then she can summon 2 vertical blue fire pillars that kind of confine you to a smaller section of the arena, making it a little bit tighter to dodge all of her abilities. Lastly, she will summon 2 posts that you can use to chain as like a grappling hook, in which case you have to stay airborne because she lights the ground on fire, all while having to avoid the spinning floating sword. There's a lot going on in this fight. However, after a few attempts, you kind of get used to everything and it never really feels like it's too much. Overall, she's a great fight and I think she deserves to be in the top 5. And number 4, we have Brother Asterion. The second encounter. Asterion doesn't go down in just one encounter, we've got to fight him again. And in this fight, he is souped up to an extreme level. He's got a lot of the same abilities from the first fight, but with some added effects on this one. And of course, he's got new moves as well. One major difference from a move from his first fight is his across the screen charge. He will still do that, but then he will spawn lightning strikes behind them. So get some damage in, but then be prepared to dodge some lightning. He will also summon large swords from the ground that you will need to carefully place yourself in between. He can also spawn beams of purple magic that you need to either dash through or just run away from. And lastly, his ultimate move, the spin to win. I'm sure there's a way to comfortably dodge this or parry it, but I never quite found what that way was. Basically, that move ended up being a big, I hope I survive this and can heal through it. I know this encounter is very controversial because of that move. However, it didn't detract from the fight that much for me. He's still one of my favorites of the game, and he's one of the ones that gives me the most trouble, which makes him respectable in my books. At number 3, we have Aphilaur, Sentinel of the Emery. My top 3 of this game were extremely hard to pick. I think on any given day, the top 3 of this game could interchange at any point. The Sentinel is just an overall sick fight. I really love how visually he kind of upgrades his weapon as the fight progresses. And when he breaks it, he jumps out of the arena. You can see him in the background. He's digging through other weapons to find a good one. And as he's digging through, he's throwing them at you and you're having to dodge them, keeping the fight engaging while he's away. It's just a really cool design and really cool mechanic for a fight. He doesn't have too many mechanics. He's got his spin to win, his normal melee strikes, and his shockwaves, as well as shooting some projectiles that are really cool because the screen actually tells you where they're going to hit, so you know where to not be. The fight's just cool as hell. There's not much more to say about it. It's just a cool freaking boss. At number 2, we have Benedicta of the Endless Horizon. Now, you want to talk about the boss that gave me the most trouble in the game? Look no further than Benedicta. While not too complex, I just could not get the rhythm of this fight down. So you're fighting her on 2 elevators, which will eventually turn into fighting her on 1 elevator. And you're utilizing the mechanic of the zone leading up to this fight, which is the teleporting from one side of the screen to the other with the blue portal teleporter things on the side. And while you get to use this, so does she. She spawns purple skulls in a circle around you that you can either hit them to destroy them or just run away from them. I found hitting a few and running away from the rest was the best option. She'll also come close and shoot a little bit of lightning at you, but that's not too bad to deal with. Her big move is the Pillars of Death that she's going to send at you. She does this in a few different patterns and it's either vertical or horizontal. If she spawns them vertically, it's not too bad to deal with. If she spawns them horizontally, be prepared for them to go from one side of the screen to the other, utilizing the same mechanic that you can. After a while, she shoots down one of the elevators and you're locked just to one. This makes the fight a little bit more chaotic, but the mechanics are the same. Overall, I think the design of this fight is incredible. The abilities of hers are just so cool, and I think they fit the theme of the fight so well. The platforming style of this fight adds an extra layer, which I always appreciate, and even though I struggled immensely with it, I love this fight. And lastly, at number 1, we have Eviterno, the first of the Penitents, and the last Desecrator. If you know me or my videos at all, it shouldn't have been a surprise that Eviterno was going to be number 1. This is absolute cinema of a boss fight. The lead up from the opening cinematic of the game, taking out all of his henchmen along the way, to finally facing the old man. Eviterno is an incredible boss fight and well deserving of number 1. His first phase is pretty simple, where he just launches magic at you all the time. They're pretty easy to avoid even though he's teleporting around the arena. The teleporting makes it a bit difficult to get your hits in, but not too bad, especially if you use the Mea Culpa from the DLC, which has a bit of a projectile on it. He's got a really cool move though when he just kind of summons a meteor and sends it down on you. It's so sick. His second phase is where shit gets real though, starting off with the transition scene, which is cool as hell. He essentially spawns his own Debla prayer, which just changes the landscape of the arena. You're then fighting him in this dark blue arena, and you've got the final boss in the background, which is just super cool. Eviterno then proceeds to just go full old man anime and whoop your ass. In this phase, he's using his sword, or I really think it's Chrysanta's sword. Someone will correct me on that. His attack swings aren't too hard to parry, but you do need to be quick with them because he is fast in this phase. He attacks you fast, he attacks from range, and he teleports around, so you really got to be on your guard. Plus, he spawns magic from some of his swings, and he will combo you with everything that he's got. At a certain point, he kind of uses his ultimate, and and summons other bosses from the game to use their signature move on you just one time. I'm talking he summons Odon, Benedicta, Orospina, Lesmus, and the Sleeping Infanta. He starts this by using his cool Debla again, and then he ends this by using a really giant center screen sword swipe, which is just so sick. Evaterno is an incredible boss that I will look forward to fighting every time I play this game. And that's our ranking of the Blasphemous 2 bosses. What are your opinions on these bosses? Who's your number 1? Who's your number 16? Let me know. Make sure you go check out my video where I reviewed Blasphemous 2 if you haven't already. If you like what I do, please consider liking and subscribing and leaving a comment down below. Also, don't forget to check us out on Twitch and TikTok where we're going to be streaming the games going forward for the reviews. But as always, stay safe out there. Peace.